Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are cracking open episode 15 of The Jumping Mystic.
And it feels like a big one.
It does. And I have to say, if you have been following along with the Discover Your Genius arc, that's ARC003 for those of you keeping score at home, you know we've been swimming in some pretty deep and frankly pretty dense conceptual waters lately.
Dense might be the understatement of the year. I mean, we've been dealing with the architecture of the mind, quantum mechanics, the shifting nature of identity. It's been a lot of heavy lifting.
A lot of whiteboard work, exactly. My brain has felt a little bit like it's in a blender.
Mine too.
But today feels different. We are shifting gears entirely. We are moving from the whiteboard to the cushion. This deep dive is all about the first of 4 breathing series releases for this arc.
Right, and it's probably worth mentioning why it's just 1 of 4.
Yeah, good point. It's simply because the volume of music involved in this whole arc is absolutely massive.
It is. If they dropped all 4 parts at once, it wouldn't be a resource. It would be a digital avalanche. It makes sense to pace it. So today, we're really looking at the foundation.
So before we get into the nuts and bolts of breath counts and heart rates, and there is some surprisingly specific math coming up, I have to ask.
Go for it.
Are you still mapping your internal ant nest, or have you finally stopped bumping into the furniture in the dark?
You know, I think I've finally stopped bumping into things. The bruises are healing, the lights are dim, but they are definitely on. I'm navigating the furniture much better these days.
That is good to hear, because I was getting a little worried about your shins. But seriously, what we are discussing today is essentially a flashlight for that internal room.
I like that.
The source material describes this breathing series as high-definition data intake for your nervous system, but, and I love this distinction, minus the risk of spilling coffee on the console.
Right. It's a gamma load without the gamma risk. Yeah. It's a clean feed for the nervous system.
And to put it in terms of our favorite sitcom siblings, which the source material helpfully references to set the vibe.
Oh, here we go.
We are officially moving from the Sheldon-style brain-heavy work into the Missy-style physical flow.
Which I think we all need right now, meaning no theoretical physics degree is required to participate.
0 degrees required. This is the tactical breathing portion of Section 1. It's witty, it's warm, it's grounded, and best of all, strictly devoid of hype.
And that's rare. Let's be honest, breathwork usually comes with a lot of hype.
A ton of it. But this, we are talking about mechanics. We are talking about the physiology of heart rate variability, or HRV.
Which is a term I think a lot of people will recognize. If you wear a smartwatch or a fitness tracker, you've seen that HRV score pop up.
Oh, yeah.
But usually it's just a number that tells you if you're stressed or recovered. Very few people understand that it's actually a lever you can pull.
Right. I usually look at my HRV score and think, oh, I shouldn't have had that second glass of wine, or wow, I didn't sleep well. I treat it as a report card.
A past tense thing.
Exactly. But you're saying, and the source material is saying, this is actually a steering wheel?
It's the difference between reading the speedometer and actually driving the car.
Yeah.
So let's unpack the mechanism. When we talk about HRV breathing in this specific context, what are we actually doing with our lungs to grab that wheel?
Well, looking at the protocol at its simplest level, it's a rhythmic pattern where you inhale for a shorter count and exhale for a longer count. So, inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 7.
Okay.
But there's a specific constraint here that really caught my eye.
No breath holds.
Right. No pausing at the top, no pausing at the bottom.
That is crucial. It's a continuous loop, like a sine wave. You aren't doing box breathing where you hold and wait. You are keeping the system in flow.
Okay, so short in, long out, continuous loop. Now, I want to play devil's advocate here for a second. Why does that specific pattern matter? Why can't I just breathe deep?
Good question.
Why do I need to count 5 in and 7 out? Is this just arbitrary structure?
Not at all. It's based on a biological reflex called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. It's hardwired into every single one of us.
Okay.
Here is the rule of thumb, and if you remember nothing else from today, remember this. Inhale equals gas pedal. Exhale equals brake.
It seems almost too simple, doesn't it? Just inhaling speeds up my heart.
Every single time. It's physics and biology working together. When you inhale, your diaphragm moves down and you decrease the pressure in your chest cavity.
Right.
That drop in pressure actually draws more blood into the heart. The brain registers this increased volume and sends a signal down the sympathetic nervous system to slightly accelerate the heart rate to pump it out.
So every inhale is a microdose of fight or flight, a tiny bit of acceleration.
In a mild way, yes.
Yeah.
You are mobilizing energy. But here is the magic trick. When you exhale, the diaphragm moves up pressure in the chest increases, and the brain sends a signal via the vagus nerve to slow the heart down.
That's the brake pedal.
That's the brake pedal.
So if I'm stressed or I'm rushing around and I'm taking those short, sharp, shallow breaths,
You are basically slamming on the gas pedal over and over again. You are revving the engine. You're telling your body, action, 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 20 times a minute.
and I'm never hitting the brake.
Exactly. But by intentionally making the exhale longer than the inhale, say spending 5 seconds on the gas and 7 seconds on the brake, you are physically forcing the heart to spend more time in that slowing down phase.
You're biasing the system toward calm.
Precisely. You aren't just relaxing in a vague psychological sense. You are using a physiological lever. I mean, think of this breathing pattern, not as magic, but as a steering wheel for your nervous system. Most of us have been driving this car our whole lives, but nobody ever told us there was a steering wheel we could grab.
We've just been sitting in the passenger seat of our own stress response, wondering why we're crashing into the guardrails.
Exactly. And this breathing series is simply reaching over, grabbing the wheel and saying, no, we're going to stay in the lane. We're going to downshift.
And when you do turn that wheel, when you shift the body into that parasympathetic mode, which is the rest and digest state, the benefits are pretty massive. The sources cite stress reduction, lower anxiety, better sleep.
Improved focus, faster recovery, and recovery is a big one. If you've just done a huge mental lift, like trying to understand the previous episodes of this show, or a physical workout, this mechanism switches you from expenditure to repair.
It's interesting because when you describe it like that, gas, pedal, brake, pressure gradients, it sounds very modern, very mechanical. But the sources point out that this isn't exactly a new discovery, is it? We didn't just invent this in a lab last week.
No, and this is where the jumping mystic context really shines. If you look at ancient yoga traditions, specifically pranayama or really any contemplative tradition going back thousands of years, this short inhale, long exhale pattern is everywhere.
So the yogis knew about the vagus nerve?
They didn't call it the vagus nerve. They didn't have heart rate monitors, but they had thousands of years of subjective data. They understood the mechanism by feeling it.
Right.
The source material makes this really profound point. Ancient traditions didn't see this as a relaxation trick. They saw it as the original user interface for state management.
The original UI. I love that.
Right. If you wanted to change your state of consciousness, or calm your mind to enter a trance, or prepare for deep focus, the breath was the keyboard. It was the interface you used to input those commands.
So we are essentially rediscovering the parasympathetic lever that other cultures used for millennia before Western science would give it a technical name.
Exactly. And the beauty is, specifically for this Discover Your Genius arc, you don't need the cultural context to use the tool. You don't need to learn Sanskrit. You don't need to adopt a specific belief system.
You don't need to join an ashram.
No woo required. It's just basic human wiring. If you have a nervous system, this works.
So we have the mechanism, the steering wheel, but what happens when we actually turn it? The source material talks about a specific target state called perceptual quiet. Now, I want to dig into this because quiet sounds nice, but it also sounds a bit vague. How is perceptual quiet different from just, chilling out on the couch?
That is the key question. Chilling out, or relaxing as we usually do it, is often about distraction. We watch TV, we drink wine, we scroll social media. We are drowning out the noise with other noise.
Okay.
Perceptual quiet is what happens when the internal noise actually drops.
A static clears.
Exactly. We all walk around with a certain level of background, static thoughts about the future, replaying arguments from the past, microtensions in the shoulders. When you engage this braking system for 10, 20, maybe 60 minutes, that static fades away.
There's a line in the notes that I found really striking. It says, this isn't about escaping the body. It's about letting the body stop screaming for priority.
That is such a vivid image, isn't it? Usually the body is like a toddler pulling on your pant leg. I'm tired, I'm hungry, my back hurts, I'm anxious. It's constantly screaming for attention.
Right.
When you use this breathing specifically, you are soothing the body so deeply that it stops sending those alarm signals.
And when the body stops screaming.
The mind stops scripting. Yes. And what is left is space. The felt experience is that the edges of perception become less sharp. That sense of being a tense, separate self, that tight knot of me that is worried about the deadline, that softens. It expands.
It sounds almost mystical.
It can feel that way, but again, I want to ground this. It is physiological. It is a predictable effect of a quieted nervous system. When you remove the constant inputs of threat and tension, your perception of reality shifts. It becomes wider, quieter.
So how do we get there? Let's talk logistics. The Discover Your Genius arc is providing these tracks to help us reach that state. What exactly are we listening to? Is it a guided voice telling us to visualize a forest?
No. And thankfully so. These are instrumental tracks. They're actually based on the background music from the Quantum Jumps, which provides some nice continuity for the show. But the key feature is the audio cues.
The bells and symbols.
Right. It's a system designed to offload the cognitive load. You hear a bell sound, that's your cue to start inhaling. You hear a cymbal sound, that's your cue to start exhaling.
I like that because counting in my head is work. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. Exactly. Counting keeps the verbal center of the brain active. By using sound cues, you bypass that. You just listen and flow. Bell means in, cymbal means out.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting and where we need to talk about the math. There isn't just one track. There are 15 of them.
15, yeah.
And they range from 7.0 breaths per minute down to 2.0 breaths per minute.
And that range is critical because slow breathing means something very different to a beginner versus, say, a freediver.
I was looking at the list of tracks and the numbers get weirdly specific. You have 7.0, 6.0, then 5.5, 5.0, 4.5, 4.25. Why do we need a track for 4.25 breaths per minute? That seems incredibly precise.
It is, and there is a mathematical reason for it. This is about the math of slowing down. Think about it this way. If you are breathing at 7 breaths a minute, each breath cycle is about 8.5 seconds long. Okay.
If you go down to 6 breaths a minute, each breath is 10 seconds. That's a 1.5 second difference. Noticeable, but manageable.
Okay, that's a small step.
But as you get down to the lower numbers, the curve becomes exponential. The time difference between the breaths gets massive.
Let me run the numbers. Okay, at 3 breaths per minute, a full cycle is 20 seconds. At 2 breaths per minute, a cycle is 30 seconds.
Exactly. You are adding 10 full seconds to every single breath cycle. That is a huge jump in lung capacity and CO2 tolerance. If you try to jump straight from 3 to 2, it's like trying to double the weight on your barbell. You're going to fail.
So the fractional steps, the 4.25s and the 2.75s, are the bridge.
They are the micro-loading.
Yeah.
Going from 3.0 to 2.75 is a gentle stretch. Going from 3.0 to 2.0 is a cliff. The system is designed with these fractional tempos to let you inch your way down that curve without triggering the panic response.
That brings up a crucial point about how to use these. I feel like there's a massive temptation, especially for the high achievers listening, and I know you guys are out there.
Oh, definitely.
To look at this list and say, okay, 2.0 is the gold medal. I'm going to start there and win at breathing.
Please do not do that.
Yeah.
That is the opposite of the goal. The source material is very clear on this. Slower is not always better. Comfort is the goal.
Because if I'm straining to hit that 2.0 mark,
Yeah.
if I'm turning purple trying to wait for the symbol,
If you are straining, you are stressing. If it feels like breath holding, or if you're gasping for air when the bell rings, your heart rate is actually going to go up. You've turned the steering wheel back into the wall. You are triggering the sympathetic nervous system because your body thinks it's suffocating.
So you're essentially gas pedaling while trying to brake. You're fighting the physiology.
Exactly. It defeats the entire purpose. You want to find your sweet spot, the pace where it feels effortless to follow the cues, but slightly slower than your normal walk-around breathing.
So for some people, that sweet spot might be 5.5 breaths per minute forever.
Absolutely, and that is a win. If 5.5 gets you to perceptual quiet, stay there. You don't get a prize for hitting 2.0. For others, they might slide down to 3.5 over a few months as their CO2 tolerance builds, but the win isn't the number. The win is the state of quiet.
That is such a key takeaway. It's not a competition, it's a support system.
It's a support system for your well-being. And speaking of well-being, we should probably drop the standard but necessary safety disclaimer here.
Yes, important housekeeping. If you get dizzy, lightheaded, or uncomfortable, stop. This is a tool to support you, but it's not medical care. Don't push through physiology that is telling you to stop.
Common sense applies. If the room starts spinning, resume normal breathing. The tracks aren't going anywhere, you can always try a faster tempo next time.
So zooming out, we've got the gas pedal and the brake, we've got the ancient interface modernized, we've got the tracks with the bells and symbols and the math to back it up. It really is a complete toolkit for shifting that internal state.
It is. It's taking something we do unconsciously roughly 20,000 times a day and turning it into a conscious lever for change. And unlike a lot of the conceptual work we discuss, which takes time to integrate, you can feel the results of this in about 10 minutes.
It's immediate feedback.
It is.
Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to that idea of perceptual quiet one more time. You mentioned that the noise of the self drops, that the tense separate self softens.
Yes. It's one of the most profound parts of the practice.
And that leads to a question I'd love to leave the listener with today. We spend so much time listening to that noise, the worries, the plans, the identity, the narrative of who I am. But if you use these tracks and that noise actually stops, if the self goes quiet, who is the one actually listening to the silence?
That is the question, isn't it?
Something to mull over while you're finding your sweet spot between 7.0 and 2.0.
Indeed. Enjoy the silence.
That is all for this deep dive into the breathing series. We will catch you on the next jump.
Subscribe to the House of Mystics YouTube channel to stay informed of new episodes, jumps, and music.